Hello dear students, myself CMA Padmaja Buzruk. I will be discussing auditing. Go to study note number 7, provisions relating to audit under Companies Act. I will be discussing section 144, 145, 146 and 147. Section 144, auditor not to render certain services. An auditor appointed under this act shall provide to the company only such other services as are approved by board of directors or audit committee as the case may be, but which shall not include any of the following services, whether such services are rendered directly or indirectly to the company or holding company or subsidiary company, namely. So in short, auditor is supposed to render services which are approved by board of directors or audit committee, but a company cannot appoint a chartered accountant for auditing the accounts of its company if the person, the chartered accountant, is rendering any of the following services either to the company or to its subsidiary company or to its holding company directly or indirectly. Now we'll see which are these services: accounting and bookkeeping services, internal audit, design and implementation of any financial information system, actuarial services, investment advisory services, investment banking services, rendering of outsourced financial services, management services, and any other kind of services as may be prescribed. If a chartered accountant or is rendering any of these services to either company or its subsidiary or holding company directly or indirectly, then that chartered accountant cannot be appointed as auditor of the company, provided that an auditor or audit firm who or which has been performing any non-audit services on or before the commencement of this act shall comply with provisions of this section before the closure of first financial year after the date of such commencement. Before the commencement of this act, that is before the Companies Act 2013 was rendering non-audit services, then shall comply with provisions of this section before the closure of the first financial year after the date of such commencement, that is after the act which came into force in 2013. Explanation: for the purpose of this subsection, the term directly or indirectly shall include rendering of services by auditor in case of auditor being an individual, either himself or through his relative or any other person connected or associated with such individual or through any other entity whatsoever in which such individual has significant influence or control, or whose name or trademark or brand is used by such individual. So just now we have seen, if the chartered accountant is rendering any of services which are mentioned, then he cannot be appointed as auditor, and directly or indirectly word was mentioned there. So the meaning of this is that individual himself or any of his relative or any person who is connected or associated with the entity, if he is having any significant control or interest, or whose name or trademark is used by such individual. In case of auditor being a firm, either itself or through any of its partner or through its parent, subsidiary, associate, entity, or through any other entity whatsoever in which the firm or any partner of the firm has significant influence or control, or whose name or trademark or brand is used by firm or any of its partners. Now we'll see section 145, auditor to sign audit report. The person appointed as an auditor of the company only has to sign the audit report. shall sign the audit report or sign or certify any other document of the company in accordance with provisions of subsection 2 of section 141 and the qualifications, observations or comments on financial transactions or matters which have any adverse effect on the functioning of the company mentioned in the auditor's report shall be read before the company in general meeting and shall be open to inspection by any member of the company. The person who is appointed as auditor of the company should only sign the audit report, and his observations, comments, qualifications should be read out in the general meeting and should be available for inspection to the members of the company. Now we'll see section 146, auditor to attend general meeting. All notices of and other communications relating to any general meeting shall be forwarded to the auditor of the company, and the auditor shall, unless otherwise exempted by the company, attend either by himself or through his authorized representative, who shall also be qualified to be an auditor, any general meeting and shall have right to be heard at such meeting on any part of the business which concerns him as auditor. So auditor has right to receive all notices, communications relating to general meeting, unless he is exempted to attend the meeting by the company. He can attend by himself or through his authorized representative, who is also a qualified chartered accountant, and he has right to heard at the meeting if it is concerned with accounting or auditing part. Next section is 147, punishment for contravention. Subsection 1 of section 147. If any of the provisions of sections 139 to 146, both inclusive, is contravened, the company shall be punishable with fine, which shall not be less than 25,000 rupees, but which may extend to 5 lakh rupees, and every officer of the company who is in default shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 1 year, or with fine which shall not be less than 10,000 rupees, but which may extend to 1 lakh rupees, or with both. If provisions of section 139 to 146 are contravened, then in case of company, the fine is 25,000, but which can be extended to 5 lakhs. But in case of officer, if he is in default, he shall be punishable with imprisonment, which may extend to 1 year, and fine also, which shall not be less than 10,000, but which can be extended to 1 lakh rupees, or with both, that is imprisonment and fine. Subsection 2 of section 147. If an auditor of a company contravenes any of the provisions of section 139, section 143, section 144 and section 145, the auditor shall be punishable with fine which shall not be less than 25,000 rupees, but which may extend to 5 lakh rupees, or 4 times the remuneration of auditor, whichever is less. Now, as per subsection 1, the punishment is for company or employees or officer of the companies, but in case of subsection 2, the punishment is for auditor. If the auditor contravenes the provision of section 139, 143, 144, 145, then he is punishable with a fine which shall not be less than 25,000, but which may extend to 5 lakh rupees, or 4 times his remuneration, whichever is less. Provided that if an auditor has contravened such provision knowingly or willfully, that means intentionally, if he has contravened the provision with the intention to deceive the company or shareholders or creditors or tax authorities, purposely if he has done in order to defraud, deceive company, shareholders, creditors, etc., he shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 1 year, or with a fine which shall not be less than 50,000 rupees, but which may extend to 25 lakh rupees, or 8 times the remuneration of auditor, whichever is less. So his punishment is more if he has done this purposely. Subsection 3 of section 147, where an auditor has been convicted under subsection 2, he shall be liable to refund the remuneration received by him to the company and pay for damages to the company, statutory bodies or authorities, or to any other person for loss arising out of incorrect or misleading statement of particulars made in his audit report. Supposing if the auditor has been convicted as per subsection 2, just now we have seen, then he is supposed to refund full remuneration whatever is received from the company, but is in addition to this he is supposed to pay the damages to companies, statutory bodies, authorities, any other person, because they have suffered loss. Why? Because they have acted upon the financial statements which are misleading. Subsection 4. The central government shall by notification specify any statutory body or authority or an officer for ensuring prompt payment of damages to the company or the person under clause 2 of subsection 3, and such body, authority or officer shall after payment of damages to such company or persons file a report with central government in respect of making such damages in such manner as may be specified in the said notification. So central government by notification, that means central government will issue notification and it will specify statutory body, authority or officer for ensuring that prompt payment they will be getting for damages to the company or person, and they have to file a report with the central government in respect of making such damages which is specified by government in the notification. Subsection 5 of section 147, where in case of audit of a company being conducted by an audit firm, it is proved that the partner or partners of the audit firm has or have acted in fraudulent manner or abated or colluded in any fraud by or in relation to or by the company or its directors or officers, the liability, whether civil or criminal, as provided in this act or in any other law for the time being in force for such act, shall be of partner or partners concerned of the audit firm and of the firm jointly and severally. So, in short, if any partner has committed any fraud, then that partner and audit firm are jointly and severally liable, provided that in case of criminal liability of an audit firm in respect of liability other than fine, the concerned partner or partners who acted in fraudulent manner or abated, or as the case may be, colluded in any fraud shall only be liable. But in case of criminal liability, only the auditor will be only the partner will be liable for this. That means if criminal liability, if it has committed any crime. In this video, we have seen section 144, which talks about auditor is not supposed to render certain services. Section 145, auditor to sign the report. Section 146, auditor to attend general meeting, and section 147, punishment for contravention. Thank you.